You know, it's kind of like what your boy Stevie said. 1492, you came up on these shores. 700 years, educated by the Moors. What up, y'all? It's your boy HomeTeam here. I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. Today, I want to talk about one of the greatest days in African history. Now, we all have a tendency to view the Moors as some sort of continuous dynastic rule that spanned the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe. But the Moorish Empire had different factions and periods that are layered in complexity. In fact, I personally wouldn't call it the Moorish Empire because they were separated and ruled by different caliphates with differing religious affiliations within Islam itself. They sometimes didn't even get along with each other. That's why you had different caliphates and Moorish states that actually attacked each other. Now, when talking about the ethnic persuasion of the Moors, people get into heated debates. Some say the Moors were black, some say they were Arabs, but the overwhelming truth is, it really depends on which caliphate you're talking about. Now, the caliphate in the east was a mixture of Arabs and black African Muslims, and even half Arab and half black Muslims. There were also many Berbers that were involved as well, the Berbers being mixed themselves. But the caliphates in the west, the ones responsible for the conquest of Spain for over 500 plus years, was overwhelmingly black African, consisting of Africans from the north and the west. Now, Europeans made it very clear what they meant by Moor. Yes, they were aware of non-black African Moors. But when they got into battle with Moors, apparently all they saw was a sea of black faces. When the Spanish king Alfonso V spoke of the Moorish conquest of Spain, he said, and I quote, "All the Moorish soldiers were dressed in silk and black wool that had been forcibly acquired. Their black faces were like pitch, and the most handsome of them was as black as a cooking pan." Now, we can clearly see that black Africans made a lasting impression on these Europeans because they immediately associate the Moors with black. Let's just use some common sense here. The closest people to Spain in general are Africans, so it would only make sense that the Moors contingent would consist of black Africans, at least a majority black. Now, the initial conquest of Spain was a combination of Arab and black Muslims, some scholars believing it was mostly black due to the recruitment of Africans in the interior. Now, after the initial conquest, it just went all downhill from there for Spain because it got blacker and blacker. The invasion pretty much started like this. There was a nobleman named Julian who sent his daughter to King Roderick to be educated, and your boy Roderick ended up raping her. Julian, of course, upset by this, wanted to get revenge. So he goes to Africa and he literally tells the Africans that Spain is weak, and if he wanted to conquer it, it would be easy work. So the Moors were just like, oh, word? And just like Julian said, the Moors went up into Spain and conquered it relatively easy. Pause. So because your daughter got raped, you're willing to allow millions of people to die and let a whole nation of people get conquered and dominated for 500 years? Yeah, anyway, after the Moors dominated Spain, of course the Spanish tried to fight back. And Alfonso had some success against the Moors in Spain, even pushing the Moors back further south. But then the Moors asked for help from the Almoravids. Now, if the Moors weren't black enough for you, here's where it gets really black. Now, the Almoravid dynasty originated in West Africa and the Senegal region. You don't really get much blacker than Senegal. Now, the Almoravid Empire was pretty much split up into two major sections. The Southern Confederacy was ruled by Abu Bakr in the south, and the northern part was ruled by his cousin, Yusuf ibn Tashfin. Now, Yusuf was described as being brown-skinned with woolly hair, and he was even the founder of the Moroccan city of Marrakesh. Yusuf went up into Spain with his army of Africans and had a very special cavalry unit that was specifically from Senegal. Apparently they were a beast. His army even used drums to intimidate the enemy. He went up into Spain and defeated Alfonso VI in the Battle of Zaleca. Now get this, Zaleca literally means slippery ground, because the warriors were slipping all over the place because of the amount of bloodshed that was spilled that day. Wow. Yusuf checked the Spanish advance and solidified Moorish rule in the area. Now the Almoravids seemed to be very conservative when it came to Islam. So while Yusuf was in Spain, he saw that the Moors there were pretty relaxed and just kind of chilling. So he was just like, I'm gonna have to reconquer this place. And he did. And that's pretty much how the Almoravid dynasty started. He was considered the caliph, or the ruler of the entire western section of the Moorish Empire. Now when we look at Moorish Spain, we only tend to see pictures of black men that ruled in that area and who were involved in day-to-day activities in Moorish Spanish life. Now Yusuf definitely relied heavily on black Africans from the interior to make up his army, and apparently he was aware of this imbalance. So he brought in a vast number of black females to use as domestics and even concubines. I guess he really liked the home team. The situation in Spain was the complete opposite of how it was in the New World concerning slavery. In fact, most indigenous Europeans were either slaves or serfs. Now after some time, the Almoravids began to chill a little bit, and they even aligned with other Christian groups. And that's when the Almohads began to take over. In my opinion, the greatest Moorish leader came from the Almohads. His name was Yaqub al-Mansur. His name literally means the invincible, because he defeated all his enemies and never lost a battle. Now his mother was a black African from Senegal or Mali, and his father was half black and half Arab. So that makes him just as black as any African American walking the streets of DC today. Yeah. Now Mansur came to the throne after his father was killed in Portugal. That was the worst thing the Portuguese could have ever done, because Mansur swore revenge. Mansur returned to Portugal and devastated Portuguese cities and even destroyed Spanish cities as well. He then proceeded to take 3,000 captives back to Africa, most of them women and children. Now, while Mansur was in Africa, the Spanish got brave and decided to attack the Moors again, this time with the help of crusaders from England. So Mansur returned to Spain, defeated the European coalition, chained up the Spanish with their allies, and sold them into slavery in Africa. Talk about paradigm shift. Now Mansur returned to Africa, and the Christians got excited and they attacked the Moors again. This European coalition was the largest Christian army ever assembled between the Moorish and Spanish interaction. He really needs to stop going back to Africa. Mansur devastatingly defeats the Spanish and their allies and strips them of many valuables and goods. So after that, the Spanish pretty much chilled out for several years. Now it's said that the only reason Mansur didn't continue his campaign was because he actually lost interest in Spain. And on top of that, he became very ill. Now scholars are convinced that the Moors took Europeans out of the Dark Ages. At this time, most of Europe was illiterate, and it was even considered a sin to take a bath. Not only did the Moors bring architecture, science, and knowledge into Spain, but they built large baths all over Spain. In fact, Mansur is known for his therapeutic hot springs. The legacy of the Moors is epic and endless. Even today, you'll find countless images of Africans in Spain representing the Moorish conquest. The only reason why Christopher Columbus was able to sail to the New World is because Spain just acquired their freedom from the Moors in 1492. You're probably not going to find that in public school history books. But y'all know what's up. It's your boy HomeTeam. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.